Aloha. I'm Tammy Chun, Deputy Superintendent for the Hawaii Department of Education, and I'm here today to provide an update on the King Kamehameha III Elementary Replacement School. I'm joined today by Rebecca Winke, Complex Area Superintendent, as well as Scott Glenn from the Governor's Office. Today we're doing this report and update to you in partnership with the County of Maui, the State of Hawaii, and Kamehameha Schools. You can advance the slide, please. So as you all know, we have been in the process of identifying a site for a replacement school and then being able to construct the replacement school, and we want to really do it in a timely way. Last fall, there was community outreach, and I wanted to let Rebecca Winke, Complex Area Superintendent, refresh your memory and summarize the findings from the community outreach.
Thank you, Tammy. As many of you may recall, we had 3 community meetings during 2024. In May of 2024, we met with faculty and staff of King Kamehameha III Elementary, and then also met with the community at large. And then we met with them again in November of 2024. In our original meeting in May, we were looking at 3 potential sites: the original Front Street location, the Pulelehua temporary site, and the Ka'anapali 2020 Pu'ukoli'i Village Malka. During that set of meetings, the feedback in general was that about 2/3 preferred the original site. Approximately 1/3 preferred the Pulelehua temporary site, and the majority did not prefer the Ka'anapali 2020 site. We scheduled another meeting in November because at that time, the Front Street site location was no longer on the table, but we shared Pulelehua, and then we added a new site at Kuia for consideration. Between the series of community meetings, we ended up also having 485 completed feedback surveys. Next slide, please. In the final community meeting in November 2024, 51% preferred the Kuia site and 45.7% preferred Pulelehua. I forgot to mention in the first series of meetings, the highest consideration was tradition and history and sentimental value for the original Front Street site. In the November meetings, the issues contributing to location preference in highest priority was traffic and emergency access, then location convenience, ability to expand, and history and tradition moved to 4th. Next slide. Prior to the wildfires on August 8th, the registration for King Kamehameha III was 679 students. And for I'm sorry, I got that backwards. For Nahian'ena was 679, and for Kamehameha III was 604. The next time we took a check on the enrollment in spring of 2024, Nahian'ena had dropped to 458, and King Kamehameha III had dropped to 265. It has gradually rebounded to the current enrollment just last week. Nahian'ena had 511 students, and King Kamehameha III had 422 students. Back to you, Tammy.
So one thing that's important about the enrollments is first that we see our families and our students returning to Lahaina. And the other is that as the enrollments have grown, and we expect them to continue to grow, that the combined enrollment of the schools exceeds either a potential new school as well as the existing Princess Nahiane'ena site. So we really are looking for a location to build a replacement school. So which brings us to the discussion today. Next slide, please. This map shows you the different, some of the different sites that were discussed that Kaz Winke gave feedback on, just to show you geographically the distances. So the star, kind of on the bottom right, represents the original Front Street location. If you follow the red line road up to the left, Site A is the temporary school at Pulelehua, which is about 7 miles away. And then the Site B, which is the blue road uh, above the original site, that is the Ku'ia site, which is about 0.6 miles away from the original school. So we definitely, when we think about where the school should be located, these are considerations in terms of replacing our French Street location. Next slide. So as you saw, that Ku'ia was one of the was preferred relative to the Pulelehua site in the November surveys. And in the Department of Education and working with the governor's office has been discussing and planning on where the replacement school should be built. And currently we're moving forward ahead with the Ku'ia site, planning for the Ku'ia site. So you can see here on the map where the site is located. So it's Ku'ia site, Makai of the bypass road. It is Mauka of a lot of the services that our children use, which includes the Boys and Girls Club as well as the Aquatic Center. And you can see the positioning there relative to other locations in Lahaina. Okay. One of the things that's really important about this partnership is we're not building a traditional new school. We are replacing our school on Front Street. And we appreciate the governor's partnership and the partnership with the legislature, both which are necessary to make sure that we're able to fund the construction of the new school. And we are on a timeline because of the temporary site having a deadline, which we'll get to at the end. Okay, next slide, please. This is a conceptual drawing of what the school could look like at the site. You might remember that Kaz Winke said that one of the main concerns in the November feedback from the community was traffic and emergency access. And so this gives you information about what the ingress and egress, so access to the school and the various exits would look like. Okay, next slide. So here's some information about the proposed Ku'ia site. I am going to ask Scott Glenn from the governor's office to speak a little more about the details regarding the site and construction. I know it's small, but hopefully you'll be able to read it on your device. I'm going to hand it over to Scott.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Aloha, everyone, and thank you for letting us be here tonight. My name is Scott Glenn with the Office of the Governor and supporting the Department of Education, along with the Department of Accounting and General Services, and moving forward with looking at this location for the school. A few more details here in terms of thinking about the location. As Tammy mentioned, it's about 0.6 miles directly Mauka of the original location in the Moku where King Kamehameha III lived. It's outside the special management area and the sea level rise exposure area and the tsunami inundation zone. And it's something that we've been thinking a lot about in terms of emergencies and risk management. Looking at sustainability, we're looking at using native plants for the planting of the area and reducing fire risk hazards around the school and in that area, using PV and better design principles, like trying to get to LEED Silver, and if we have the funding for LEED Gold certification. We're also looking at the connectivity of the site with the surrounding areas, so access to the Boys and Girls Club, the Aquatic Center, these different facilities that nearby the students use and the parents use for helping with their children, allowing the kids to more easily walk and bicycle between these places. How can we better design those greenways? And then the school itself using precast concrete. These are things that help reduce fire risk and improve resilience to hurricanes and other winds and storm damage. These are all different aspects of some of the design that we've been looking at for how to bring this school back in a way that respects the concerns that we've heard from the community over the 2 surveys. Tammy, I can turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Okay, we can have the next slide, please. In terms of the cost of putting up the new school, we are looking at about $162 million. That would be funded by a combination of FEMA funds, as well as insurance proceeds and state funds. So it'd be a capital improvement request to the legislature for the upcoming legislative session. And then there'd be support from federal highways funds for roadways. But for the school itself, we're looking at needing we're looking at a combination of funds and again, funding that would need to be appropriated in the upcoming legislative session to build the school. Next slide. In terms of the timeline, the plan moving forward is to begin at the Kuia site with cultural and environmental surveys. So this is doing initial work to prior to receiving the funding for the site and prior to the design, permitting, and construction. We would be looking to do the design, permitting, and construction next year. And again, we meaning the partnership primarily between the governor's office and DAG's Department of Accounting and General Services with DOE. Then we'd be targeting a school opening for August of 2028. And that would be like 2 school years from now. Yes, 2 school years from now, being able to move into the new site. We are in a timeline here because the temporary school, which was supported through FEMA, the leases for the modulars there end in February of 2029. So those are, from the Department of Education's point of view, we are really happy for everyone to come together to help us get a replacement school for your students and your community, both for meeting this deadline that we're on, as well as having this very important community resource, and that we know that you're looking forward to. So with that, I wanted to end maybe I'll answer a few questions. We'll see if we can answer a few questions. One of the questions, yes, the school will have a kitchen. And then another question was about what happens to the temporary school site. So the current contract is for FEMA and the Army Corps is that at the end of the project that the Army Corps would restore the site to its prior status. So they would remove the modulars, then they would put the site back. So, and then there was a question about where students would go. So where students live versus the school site. So for, at this time, we are expecting the students who attended King Kamehameha III prior to the fire, if you had lived in the zone for King Kamehameha III, that was your school. It would still be it's your school at Pulalehua now, and it would be your school at Kuia. One of the considerations or one of the pieces of feedback we got in the community meeting was that many people asked to build 2 schools. A second potential school, another possible school in West Maui is on the drawing board. and that is a consideration as more housing gets developed and more families return to Lahaina. So that's not off the table, but that's not currently in planning stages. Okay. Those are the questions I saw related to the school that are on the Q&A. So with that, we expect to continue to have more opportunities and updates regarding the school. So this is not the last word on the school, but we wanted to make sure the community was aware. It's been quite a while since the community meetings happened and the feedback happened. Wanted to give you that update. And also there'll be some initial surveys and work on the site over the next coming months. And so you're informed about why that's happening. Okay, great. Thank you. Back to you, Christine.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tammy. While we have you folks here, there's another question that came in from Lauren about the water. Where is the water coming from for the school? Wondering if anybody on our panel is prepared to answer that, or if not, then we can follow up with you, Lauren.
I can answer that in part, and someone from the county might also be able to answer. But the water, the reason that we're going to be able to get water for the school is because the school on Front Street, the water that was committed there is going to be going to this new site. I can't speak to the details, but perhaps somebody else on the panel can, or we can get back.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I don't think water supply is on tonight, but the plan is to use the water from the old school and just move those credits up to this site. And then this school will be more efficient with water usage, etc. But from discussions we've had with water supply, there is ample supply for this school.